It's time to bring in the one, the only, the Perch Jerker, Brad Smith.
Hey, what's up?
Brad, how the heck are you, my friend?
If I was any better, there'd be two of me.
Let me tell you something. I've watched your videos, and I couldn't wait to meet you because you have an infectious personality. You just seem like a great guy. And the group around you, it seems like you've attracted similar people, all fun-loving.
So.
I don't hear any schmucks on there. They all sound like good people, and it's kind of a family, atmosphere to it.
100% family friendly. Yes.
So let me just ask you this right off the bat. Kind of like, I guess it would be your mission statement. What is your goal? And from what I see, it's to attract more people to this great sport. And as I said up in front, I don't care if you're catching a little walleye or
yep.
I want to watch and continue watching your stuff because you're a great guy. You're informative. You go through all this stuff. But tell me, what is your goal exactly?
My goal is to, number one, have fun and make sure everyone else that goes fishing has fun. Because I talk to so many people, and they tell me how they got skunked. They're like, yo, Perch, I went out, I did what you said, and I got skunked. And I'm always like, well, did you have fun? And they're like, well, yeah, I went with my friend. I'm like, there you go, we had fun. And then also the teaching part is to help people learn. And whenever I came out here, I originally moved out here from Ohio.
Yeah.
So I lived in Ohio my whole life, and I moved out here 4 years ago from Ohio. And when I showed up, I didn't know how to fish in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? So
you fished a lot of freshwater in Ohio?
I fished freshwater almost my whole life.
Yeah.
Catching bluegill, bass, muskie, pike, all the big game fish in freshwater. I was actually spoiled in Ohio because we had a lot of very good lakes right around where I lived. So whenever I came out here, I'm like, all right, I love fishing anyway, so let's start in the ocean. And that takes me down to Dana Point. And this was my first time ever fishing in the ocean. I had a little pack of anchovies or something, and I cut them up, threw them on a hook, threw it off the pier.
You had no idea what you were doing?
I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, all right, we're throwing a piece of fish in the ocean. Let's see what happens, right? So I'm sitting there, my pole goes off. And I'm like, okay, we got something on here. I bring it in. I have a huge angel shark on my line. And I'm sitting here holding this angel shark. Everyone's recording me and stuff. And I'm just like, what's going on, you guys? Like, what do I do with this thing?
And you were hooked instantly, I imagine.
Instantly, man. So ever since then, I wanted to make it my mission statement, like you said, to teach people how to fish out here on the coast, how to have fun while you're fishing, and, just in general, just having a good time while you're fishing.
You know what? I got to tell you something right now. You are so right. Because I have a couple of friends not catch any fish, and they want to slit their wrists.
Yeah.
And you know what? And then I have other friends who have your attitude that I'm going to have a good time.
Yes.
You're never, ever disappointed with that attitude, right?
Never.
I know.
Nope.
If you don't base it on the catching and you base it on the adventure, the experience, the camaraderie with all your friends and people, you can never go wrong.
It's so true. And that's the thing. I think all of the skunk trips add up to me getting so excited when I catch that little fish, you know what I'm saying? Because you can go out and not catch a single thing, but if you get that one little fish, you feel accomplished, you beat the skunk. That's what every fisherman's trying to do out there. So, and that's just my goal, is to show these guys how to go out, and catch these little fish if you're not catching big stuff or getting lucky, and I just think it's a real good avenue. YouTube is perfect. I can edit my videos, give everyone all the information, take my time, record what I need. So, yeah, I just really enjoy what I do.
And technically, I like your jump cuts. It just like all of a sudden, you've watched 15 minutes of video.
Yes, yeah.
And the technique that you're using is great. It's great editing.
Yep.
Interesting, a lot of fun, great people in there. A lot of knowledge you impart about how to do it. I love the way you're doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I try to put in as much as I can. And everything I learn, I just think in my head, it's natural. I want someone else to learn it, So that way next time they're out, they don't make the same mistakes I did, and they have just a better chance of catching fish, Which is what we're all about on the Jerk channel. That's what we're doing.
All right, and you have a bunch of followers. You call them the what? The Jerk Squad?
The Jerk Squad, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Hopefully some of the Jerk Squad's watching right now. What up, Jerks?
Yeah, and any of the Jerk Squad that are watching or anybody
comment,
else.
Jerks, if you're out there.
If you want to make a comment, ask Brad a question, you can certainly do it. I'm going to ask Brad to kind of take us up and down the coast and suggest some of the better piers, some of the better surf areas, and all of that to us. I want to know, why didn't you gravitate toward freshwater when you got here? Proximity to the ocean, or what?
It was more or less being spoiled in Ohio, right? So in Ohio, I had caught everything. You know, I caught carp that were like 40 pounds. I've caught, you know, muskie that people fish a lifetime for. I've caught pike, huge bass, all that kind of stuff. So when I came out here, I knew that I was going to get just freshwater fish like bass and stuff. I wanted to expand. I wanted new species. I feel like, you know, I'm catching something new every time I go out. I just caught 3 new species in 1 week, like a week or 2 ago. It was the coolest thing ever, too. And that just goes to show that still to this day, I'm still catching new species. And I've been catching everything in the ocean for like 2 years now, so it's just the never-ending thrill of what's going to come out of that ocean.
And as I watch your videos, I would assume that you've been fishing saltwater for a long, long time, but it's not true. You've just a few years. That's great.
This is true. I've only been fishing in saltwater for about 2 years now, and I started my channel 2 years ago. So literally from the start of my channel, I got a funny story too. Like my second or third video that I did, I remember it till today. I was going down to Newport, right? I headed down to Newport Back Bay, North Star Beach. There's a spot that you can fish, wonderful spot to fish. And I went down there, and I took down some sausage and some cheese and some chicken. And I still watch this video and laugh so hard. And I thought I was going to catch fish. I'm down there, like, recording myself. Like, all right, guys, we got, you know, I'm about to have a cookout for 4th of July down here in Newport. And I'm pulling out these sausages and throwing them in the water. And I didn't catch anything, obviously, until the chicken hooked up on a jack smelt, which was the funny part. But yeah, it was at that moment that I learned that you can't just take any bait and throw it in the ocean. You need squid, you need mackerel, you need the staples that are going to help you actually catch the fish, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I've often wanted to do more and more of that. I mean, there was a big thing when we were kids fishing on the boats that if you could catch a sand bass on a pickle or a chicken bone, then that was the definition of wide open, and many times we could do that.
So we got a couple questions coming in from Jason Allen. He wants to know, what is a perch jerker exactly? How you came up with that name, or the backstory on that?
Okay, good question. I came up with the name for myself to be a perch jerker probably, like, I would say 9 years ago or so. And I heard it and it stuck in my head. I think I read it on the internet somewhere. I read Perch Jerker and I'm like, that is an awesome fishing name. I would never forget that. So that came into play when I was building my handle for my channel. I wanted to make sure that, you know, I used a name that wouldn't be forgettable. And a perch jerker is, I think it's defined in like the Urban Dictionary or something like that, as someone who comes with you to go fishing that really doesn't know what they do.
I had no idea.
You know, like they don't know what they're doing, but they're just coming along to hang out. You know, that's just a perch jerker.
It's an actual definition? I thought you coined that term.
I think it's like an Urban Dictionary definition, but if you look it up online, it'll say something along those lines of, you know, someone who comes with you that doesn't know a lot of stuff.
I think Jason was thinking something else.
And then we have James Moser, says, Perch is amazing. Captain Jay from Team Wildcard out of HB and Captain Woody on the deep sea sport fishing are so excited. And then I think Jason is also asking, what do you think about light line fishing, light line monofilament fishing in the surf?
I like the idea of that. I think you can use mono or fluorocarbon, but personally I like to use fluorocarbon. If you use mono, it's the same thing. You can rig up a high-low rig, you know, throw some dropper loops in with some squid, and it works perfectly fine. But in the surf, I wouldn't go lower than, I don't even know, like 10 pounds or something like that personally, just in case you do hook something a little bit bigger, you know, like a guitar fish, or if you get lucky on an angel shark or something like that, you want to have that extra tug. But if you're going for strictly perch, I would say you can go as low as, you know, like 4-pound test if you want.
Right.
Because, you know, as long as you angle your rod right, that's why they call it angling, as long as you're playing your cards right, you can bring something in on super, super light line. So it honestly depends on what kind of fishing you're doing. But monofilament in the surf, yeah, run it all day, man. Put a top shot on if you want, anything like that. Throw a sinker at the bottom, dropper loop, squid, just launch it out.
And then the Shark Sniper says, love you, Perch. You're like an older brother to me.
Yeah, that's my little brother right there, Tyler. Shout out to Tyler and Chris from lbsfguides.com. They have been my crew so far this year, nonstop since January. We've been jamming the surf all this year together, nonstop, literally every weekend.
I think I've seen some of these guys in your videos, and they seem like great guys.
They are wonderful guys.
And then the last question I got so far is Jason, is 4 to 6 pound monofilament line still popular in surf fishing? I hear and see that people are more interested in the braid for surf fishing. I really think it's heavy. It's too heavy.
Yeah, that's a good question. The 4 to 6 pound monofilament, you could go ahead and load your reel up with that and use it all day. You can, throw Carolina rigs if you want with that. It'll definitely work, and just make sure, like I said, you're playing your cards right. But personally, what I've been doing lately is running braid on my entire reel. I fill the entire reel with, say, 20-pound braid just to be safe, and then I work with my top shots. So say if you're throwing a lure or something, I'll throw on, 10-pound fluorocarbon and then just tie off on my lure, and then the fish can't see, that fluorocarbon that's on there, but you can still run your braid. So that's just my preference too. You can run like the 10-pound fluorocarbon on the entire reel if you want to, but I just like using braid personally. It's so strong.
And it gets expensive. I do the same thing you do, by the way. Same thing. And like you say, when you're fishing different species, Corvina, they seem to be a little wilier. You got to drop down the mono, so depending upon the species. But good advice about if you hook a bigger fish, you're screwed if you got 4 pounds on there.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is all good stuff. I know Jason was excited about you coming on also. He was needling me about, what is a perch jerker exactly?
Yeah, what is that? What is a perch jerker?
So you mentioned, we're going to jump around from pier to pier and do a whole bunch of stuff, but I am so interested in your experience at Catalina Island. You had a 3-day experience out there, and what, you can only eat what you caught? Is that true?
That was our trip. That was our goal for the trip, yes, was to only eat the fish that we caught while we were on the island.
Your goal. So did you meet your goal?
Yeah, we only ate the fish.
There was no Cheetos or anything like that involved?
No Cheetos, no Cheetos. I try to run all my videos legit. If I say I'm going to do something, right, I'm going to do it. I don't like to clickbait. If my title says something, that's going to be in the video one way or the other.
Right.
So I'm not the kind of YouTuber that's going to clickbait people and all that stuff. But as far as Catalina Island goes, it's $76 on the Catalina Express. I don't know if they go out of here or if they're down south a little more.
Yeah, Long Beach.
Yeah, they're all up and down the coast.
Newport.
And you can go out on the Catalina Express for like $75 a person. They take you there and then back whenever you want. So we're like, let's go here this day, and then we'll come back, 3 days later. And that trip, it's actually funny. We went for 3 days and ended up staying for 4 days instead.
Wow. So did you camp out or what?
We technically camped, yeah. We go to a specific beach out there, and we just load all of our stuff there. We sleep on the concrete and rocks and whatever else we can find.
Love it.
Sometimes there's like cushions and stuff if you get real lucky. And, we just...
And does that cost? Do you pay a fee to sleep there?
No, it's just local beach.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And no one bothers us. No one cares. There's actually a business that we fish behind, and we're good friends with the business owners. So they don't ever mind us coming there.
And that's right in Avalon, or where are you?
Yeah, it's to the left of Avalon.
Uh-huh.
So we just take all of our gear, and we shark fish down there. One of the times we went this year, we caught a 6-gill shark, a couple 6-gill sharks. And that was really exciting because I've never seen one of those before. They're wild animals. And once they get in the surf, they're like spinning on themselves. Sometimes they'll eat their own tail because they just have this constant instinct to keep spinning and bite whatever's bothering them.
Steve does that once in a while.
I seen him do it when I came in today.
Right.
I was like, so. Phil, this is kind of... No, I'm kidding. Yeah. But yeah, they do some wild stuff. But when we got there, we started fishing, little bit of squid. We would drop dropper loops with like a 1-ounce torpedo weight on it. And we were running 10-pound fluorocarbon up to 20. And we just put the little pieces of squid on the hooks, and we would cast them out as far as we could and wait. And you would just start getting hammered almost every cast.
Wow.
Every time we would fish there and we would get dinner, we'd almost have to stop fishing because we were catching so many fish.
Are you kidding me? What kind of fish?
We caught whitefish. We caught sheephead, we caught calicos, and Chris actually pulled out a triggerfish, which was like one of the coolest fish I've ever seen from Catalina. There's these big gnarly plate-looking things, and then their fin only goes down if you push the little fin behind it. They're gnarly fish. Look it up if you haven't seen it. And then we actually cooked that fish, too.
They're good.
Which was very interesting. They were really hard to clean. Their skin is so thick.
Yes.
And I ended up cleaning the skin off. I got the skin off, and then we cooked it, and it was almost like the top meat tasted different than the bottom meat. Like it was like tougher up top and like juicier at the bottom. It was weird, but it was still a wonderful fish.
That's one of the best ceviche fish
that is
in Baja.
Yes.
I bet.
So, your experience at Catalina Island, you were able to survive on the fish that you caught?
We survived all 3 days, yes.
And you just eat fish then? You don't have tortillas or anything like that along
No,
with?
we didn't bring anything.
That's pretty cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, we didn't bring anything, and we just wanted to do a survival challenge, you know? We were going to be there fishing anyway, so we're like, hey, let's make it a survival challenge. And it honestly turned out to be real fun. We all love the fish. Every night I would cook it up for us, you know? And Chris and Tyler are like, dude, this is actually really good. Like, I love this, so... We were enjoying it. I had a great time.
One of the videos I watched, I saw you guys catch a great white shark. Now,
yes,
I got to tell you something. And obviously you got to release those things, but you're not targeting those. But man, what a thrill!
Yeah, it's definitely a thrill. It's definitely a thrill. At first, it was a thrill, and then it became
we got to get this creature back.
It became a nuisance to us.
You mean you were catching many of those?
You can in a night, yeah. Like, say if you go out and you're dropping 5 poles, right? And you drop all 5 poles, and then one of them gets a run and you lose it. Then the next one, you bring in a great white. And then you're like, oh, crap, you know, like you're starting to get into heavy water. The whites are here. And then say you hook up on 2 more. At that point, we're to the point where we're just bringing in our poles and leaving.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Because the white sharks have moved in and
exactly.
you don't want to deal with it.
And we don't want to.
What are you targeting? You're targeting, obviously, leopards.
Oh, we target, leopard sharks, 6 gills, 7 gills, mako. We've been trying for a mako for the past, I don't even know how long. You know, we'll drop float rigs in the morning and leave them out all day just hoping. We've had some good runs that we assume were makos. But, we go for makos.
Thresher sharks,
Thresher sharks,
Have you caught many threshers?
Yeah, we catch threshers.
Yeah.
I'm actually going out this weekend with my buddy Dylan from Hog Squad Fishing. Shout out, Dylan. We're going out this weekend for thresher sharks. And I'm sure we'll probably hook up. We're going to make bait and go to our spot and do what we do. But... we like targeting legal sharks. We don't target white sharks.
Right.
I know there's probably been some speculation of people watching and thinking, you know, you can clearly watch the videos. You can see we're not targeting them and having fun with them. You know, we get them, we release them, we do what we're supposed to do, and we continue on fishing.
Well, Steve and I are exactly the same way. We release just about every single shark.
Except these ones.
Sorry about that.
No, these are gnarly,
I bought those
though, man.
in Mexico, by the way.
Those are gnarly.
No, but I know what you're saying. You got to be careful about that kind of stuff because people get a little crazy about that. But I could see you guys were great in releasing. That's what I've heard. You did a great job.
That's what I've heard, you know? And it's like, if you ask me, I think the problem would be if we didn't post these videos.
Okay, why?
Why? I think that because then that would literally mean that we're out catching sharks, catching great white sharks behind people's back, not telling anyone, you know, doing it for fun or whatever people would say. It's like when we upload these videos, we try to be as informative as possible and let people know you can't keep these. Because what if someone goes out shark fishing and they don't know that you can't keep that? You know?
Which does happen on these local piers.
Yeah, and piers.
It's true, and that's another thing. I'm informing people. You know, learn something from this. You know,
then it becomes a didactic video. You're teaching people. I mean, in case you do happen to hook and catch a great white, now you know what to do, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you guys were pretty brave. Those guys walked that shark right out there, pushed it out to sea. It was pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, we get up close and personal with these sharks, definitely.
Yeah, no kidding.
Chris and Tyler, they do work.
I saw those guys. Yeah, that was good. It was almost like a crocodile hunter kind of thing.
You would think so. Yeah, you would think so.
So, Chris, let's pick one of your favorite piers and one of your favorite experiences, and then we'll talk a little bit about what people can do right now as we move into the show a little bit further. Before you do, don't forget, sign up and be a Patreon member. Steve will put a link up there for you, and you can win some great prizes from Chris here tonight, and we have some other, from Brad here tonight, and we also will have some other stuff we'll add to it. You want to pick a pier, or you want to pick one of your favorite zones to fish now? What would you say?
I like Huntington Beach, specifically the pier. You can always find me up at the pier. I'll go up there to catch mackerel and stuff, and I'll go up there to catch thresher sharks as well. The thresher shark bite is almost always on at Huntington Beach Pier, and yeah, we catch a lot of thresher sharks up there. Lots of bat rays. Like, we'll use bat rays as shark bait and stuff for Catalina Island and whatnot. and we can catch those there at the pier. And the sabiki rigs, you can catch all kinds of bait fish. You know, there's tons of bait fish up there. Crab netting, I've actually done a lot of crab netting up at the Huntington Beach Pier this year.
Is it good?
It produces, definitely.
Really?
Yes. Earlier this year, like I would say in springtime is when I was going a lot and dropping the crab nets. And I would bring up spider crabs. Almost every time I went there, I'm bringing up monster spider crabs, you know.
Did you eat them? Did you keep them?
I haven't eaten a spider crab yet, only because the specific days that I caught the spider crabs, I was very busy and didn't have time to go home and like power wash them and cook them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are going to cover all the different piers that you like to fish. What are some of the species that people can catch on these piers before you get into each individual pier that you like? What are some of the species people could look that these piers can offer?
Bat rays, definitely. People catch a lot of bat rays. They catch a lot of round rays. They catch, like I said, thresher sharks. You can get soup fin sharks. You can get leopard sharks. You can get, I've seen a lot of horn sharks actually caught at Huntington Beach Pier. You can get thornback skates. Those things are everywhere. Those little tortillas,
yes.
They're everywhere. Tortillas are everywhere. You can get, as far as bait fish goes, you can get Pacific mackerel. You can get jack mackerel, which is, I believe, the proper name. Chris knows about that. And there's jack smelt. You can get big, small jack smelt at these piers.
How about barred perch corvina? Can you go down there and do that in the surf area?
Yeah, you definitely can, yeah. All up and down Huntington Beach is a wonderful spot for barred surf perch, yellowfin croakers, all the way down through, Crystal Cove, all that area. I fish all that. Newport, wonderful for yellowfin croakers. Even up north, this far is yellowfin croakers everywhere. And if you're fishing off the pier, the barred surf perch will all be a lot smaller, just because that's what I've found in my experience. They're all tiny off the pier. And then in the surf, they'll get a lot bigger.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I find that to be true also. We were just on the pier not too long ago and catching some of those smaller barred perch, but when you fish the beach, seems like you get some bigger ones. Speaking of the Huntington Beach Pier, by the way, I watched one of your videos here recently, and the Jerk Squad came out in force.
Yeah.
You have some big events, don't you? And it looked like such a fun event.
Yeah, the Jerk Squad army is ever growing. We're growing stronger by the day. And, yeah, the last event I had was epic. There was over 100 people there, and, I'm giving away free money for everyone that enters. Free money, free sponsored rods, jigs, all that kind of stuff. And all the money that I give away for free during my meetups is all from my YouTube ad revenue. So literally every time a Jerk Squad member goes and clicks on one of my video, they're securing the bag for the next event that I'm doing to help us have more money to give away.
Yeah, great. What kind of money are you giving away?
I did $100 for first place, $50 for second place, and $50 for third place last meetup. And I gave away 2 GLF rods from Shimano. Shimano and Irvine actually sponsored the event, and they sent out a representative with the poles too.
Very nice.
Giving warranties to the winners and everything. It was a real cool gig.
And what do you have to do to win first place? Is it the biggest?
Yes, I usually go by length. Yeah. Just because you can carry around a tape measure with you and be like, all right, here we go. This is this long, that's that long. And then you can settle the score like that. Instead of people with scales, one might be broken, one might be heavier. Right. You never know. So we just tape them, and if the meetup ends at 3 p.m., boom, as soon as 3 p.m. hits, our top 3 people win the prizes.
And what else do you do? I mean, did I see you cooking? Is there food available or not?
I usually don't. On that. Yeah, I don't run a kitchen while I'm out there,
Yeah, it's a little difficult,
but
right?
I will, if I have my grill and stuff with me, I'll pull out some thresher shark or something. I've been cooking a lot of thresher shark on the piers for people that go.
God, it's good, isn't it?
It's so good. It's like a juicy chicken,
Yeah.
But, that's one of the main sharks that we'll eat. And when we are shark fishing, we release over 95% of the sharks we catch. Almost everything we catch, we just release. Because personally, I don't like killing big creatures, when I see something that big and beautiful and majestic, it's I want to put this back in the ocean alive. I don't want anything to happen to it. So we release almost everything. Thresher sharks, they're the only one that aren't safe because they taste so good.
I know.
And we put in the work, and sometimes you got to harvest one and eat it. It's a good reward for your craft. So.
Well, since we're talking about thresher sharks, why don't you talk about tackle and how you catch a thresher shark off one of the piers? Because that is a spectacular fish to catch. And Some people have the attitude about pier fishing, like, I'm not doing that. It's
Yeah,
boring.
I get it.
It's the way I got hooked on fishing. I went to my parents would drop me off at the Redondo Pier at 6 a.m. and pick me up at 6 p.m., my brother and I. And we dream about catching these giant bonita that we saw these guys on the Redondo Pier catching.
Yep.
Even guys would make these long casts and catch these big bocaccio on the edge of the Redondo Canyon off the pier. So it's how I got hooked on fishing.
Yep.
And you're demonstrating to everybody who's listening that there are some great opportunities. So before you answer that question, Steve has something.
Yeah, so we got N6 Yoon asking, since you're going to go into tackle, would you recommend spinning reels or conventional reels, 6-foot rods, 12-foot rods? What do you recommend as far as rods, reels, tackle, everything?
It's all subjective, but I would say go ahead and go with conventional reels. You know, if you're going to be hooking into a thresher shark, which they can get pretty big on this coast, I've seen them, up to like 13 feet plus, they can get pretty big. I would roll conventional. Roll with conventional reels if you just want to be safe. If you want to have fun, bring the spinning rod. I actually think I'm going to bring one of my spinning rods this weekend just to have fun and see if I can bring one in on it. But I would say go conventional. Definitely go conventional. Go heavy. It's better to be safe than sorry. You don't want to tell the story about how your spinning reel got spooled when you could have caught the fish and showed them the fish.
And this is specifically if you're targeting bigger, sharks, bigger fish.
Yes, okay. Yes.
Surf fishing in general, I think that might be also the question, right? Or is it?
Yeah, I think N6 Yoon wants to know what he should
What's the
have
gamut?
As far as surf fishing, pier fishing, everything. What do you recommend?
I like to say there's a tool for every job. So if you're catching bait fish, obviously have a little spinning reel, that you can work tight with yourself. And then if you're going to go for maybe like bat rays or skates or something a little bit bigger, you can still get away with a spinning reel. Have some like 20-pound braid on there. That's all I use, and you can bring up monster bat rays with it and stuff. So once you start getting into the bigger fish, like say, sharks and whatnot, then that's when I would move over to conventional, definitely. So
go ahead.
I would say for the smaller fish, use spinning reels, and then for the bigger fish, use conventional. That's just what I do. It's easier for me. That's my style.
What do you fish bait for thresher sharks? I assume you're snagging mackerel or trying to catch a mac?
Yeah, whenever we make bait for thresher sharks, we're always catching mackerel. And it's best to have fresh mackerel, straight out the ocean, butterfly the tail and throw them out. That's the best way to do it. But you can freeze them overnight and bring them out on a different trip while they're dead and then hook them, and a thresher shark will still bite it. It has happened. So.
And you want to get your bait away from the pier, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
We do sliding rigs where we get our conventional reels, right? And I usually run about 65-pound braid when I do this, but you can use anything like 80-pound mono, fluoro, whatever you want. Just make sure it's probably heavier than like 60 pounds. And we take our line and we hook on a Sputnik sinker, which is, a big weighted sinker, and it has the spider feet sticking out of it. And we hook that and you just cast it. Send that into the ocean as far as you possibly can. And then once that's out, you want to let it sit for a little bit, make sure it's stuck. And then you literally just take a non-return and you put it down to your leader, and you can put a float at the top of it, and you send it down into the ocean on that line. So it goes down to the ocean with a float on it. And then whenever a shark hits it, your line's going to start running. And what you do is reel like heck and get that Sputnik sinker all the way up to the leader. And then the top of your leader with that non-return is sitting on that Sputnik sinker. And then you have your line coming down to Sputnik, down to the leader, down to the shark. So you got one big straight line down to the shark. And then at that point, you just, reel like heck and bring it in. So
any old timers who are out there listening, that's how we used to fish bonita off the Redondo Pier back in the day, because it was very difficult to fly line a bait far enough.
Yeah.
But you could do the slider rig. And I can remember that like it was yesterday.
Yep.
And it was 50-something years ago.
Right,
That's how long ago it was. But I remember doing that, so it's kind of nostalgic to hear that. That's the way you're fishing the threshers. That's such an effective way. And do you often see the shark eat your bait, or do you just see your line moving?
If I'm out in the boat, you can sometimes see the shark eat your bait. But usually when you're on the pier, mostly you're hearing a run.
Yeah.
Like we'll all be, standing around talking, and you got to think, you got like, if you're with a crew and your people and stuff, you got like, 12 rods in the water at one time. So you kind of just wait, and then once you hear the run, you just know it's on,
Oh, that's awesome.
But in the boats, you can kind of watch your floats and see one sink. But, usually you just hear the run for the most part.
Anybody has a question out there for Brad, please feel free to drop it in here right now. He's here. He's willing. And it's a great presentation so far, my friend. It's good to meet you. Pick an experience. Pick a pier. Pick a beach.
Yeah, I got some stuff for you.
Let's hear one.
All right. Well,
let me
touch. I'm sure a lot of people right now are wondering about the thresher shark rigs that I'm talking about, because thresher shark is a hot fish to catch out here. So with the casted rig, whenever I throw out the Sputniks, I like to use about an 8-ounce Sputnik. 8 ounce is a really good size for the piers, as long as the conditions aren't super crazy, but it'll almost always stick and you'll be safe. And then for the leaders, you can use, 2 to 3 feet of some 200-pound cable. Just something that the shark's teeth aren't going to bite through, because thresher sharks have teeth and they're small, but they're not going to, shred through everything. They're just going to bite that one spot of the line they're on. So you want to make sure that you got some cable there, and then use a J hook, about 4/0 or something like that.
So you have cable down to the hook that you slide down.
Yeah,
okay.
Cable down to the hook, and then on top of that, you can run your leader, which could be anything, 100-pound mono or something like that. And then that's what you attach to your non-return, and then you can throw that down. So, but yeah, make sure you have a strong leader going from that cable. But always use cable. If you put mono or something on there, you might get bit through. You could get lucky, but I would say run cable for the thresher shark
Now,
rigs.
for this thresher rig, what a pound rod, what weight rod would you use? What type of reel would you use? What type of line are you spooling with the reel? Give us the full run through of everything from, like you just mentioned, the hook size, from the hook all the way down to the butt of the rod. What are you using in between?
Right. You can use, I have a Saltus 30H, which is probably about as low as I would go. Any other conventional is bigger than that.
Daiwa Saltus 30,
it's a Daiwa Saltus 30H, and I use a Proteus rod, which is rated, I think, 30 to 60 pounds, which is plenty. As long as you're not hooking into a 400-pounder or something, you'll be fine. But yeah, I'd say any rod that's bigger than 30 to 60 should be fine. And any reels, bigger than a Saltus 30H, you should be fine. So you don't have to go super huge. And as far as spinning reels, I wouldn't use spinning reels for thresher fishing, just because, unless you have a monster spinning reel. But yeah, I would just stay away from the spinning reels. But I like to use 65-pound braid, and I put that down to the leader. And like I said before, as long as you're playing your cards right with the 65-pound braid, you're not going to get bit off or anything. It's not going to break the line or nothing. You should be safe.
Did you mention the size of the J hook before? What size?
Yeah.
Are you
I said 4/0.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could use 4/0. You could use 6/0. You just want to keep it normal size, something that'll just fit in their mouth. You don't want to get too big with it.
And then as far as the drag that you're setting on your reel, how much drag are you setting for fighting these fish?
With thresher sharks, you definitely want to set a little bit more or a little bit less drag, so that way they have some room to run. Because when you catch a thresher shark, you hook into it, and they have a lot of tension, because their tail is so strong. So you want to make sure that they have room to run. So don't run super tight drag at first. Definitely let it a little bit loose so they can run a little bit. But at the same time, make sure they're not taking too much line. And then as you go, you can tighten it up a little bit as you go, just to, horse them in once they're tired. But you definitely want to tire them out first. And as soon as you hook thresher sharks, usually almost every time they'll breach. As soon as you hook them, they're breaching out of the water. They're jumping.
Exciting, right?
So exciting, but at the same time, you got to make sure that you're not tail wrapping. You got to make sure that they're not, wrapping the line around one of their pec fins or something while they're doing that, jumping in the air. So you just have to be really careful and keep that line tight always. And when they're jumping, just keep on reeling, never stop, and just keep that tension. And then at the same time, when your drag's a little bit loose, that helps you control it, and not, let the leader break off or something, which has happened before. So it's devastating.
When you're checking your drag, are you able to physically pull, when you're checking to see how tight your drag is, are you able to take your hand and then pull on your line to pull some line out? How easy is it? I know a lot of guys usually they like to hear, okay, set it to 15 pounds,
right,
set it to 20 pounds. what would you say as far as pounds?
I'm not huge on the pounds to set it to on the fishing reel. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know, 20 pounds. I set it at 30 pounds. But I will make sure that I have, a good hold on it. And as long as I can pull it out a little bit, you're fine. Perfect. And then if you got something big on there, it's going to be able to pull it out a little bit as you go. But you still want to be able to keep that tension.
And you definitely don't want to button it down if you're using 65 because that fish can easily put that much pressure on the line where it pops.
Yeah,
big
for
time,
sure, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Although buttoning down is fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. Don't worry.
You mentioned mackerel. If you had your druthers, would you say always go with the live if you can, or doesn't matter?
I would say go with fresh if you can. It doesn't necessarily need to be alive and swimming, but the fresher the better. You don't want some gooey, sticky thing out there when it could have a nice fish. And like I like to say, I like fresh food, and so do other fish. We all like fresh food. That's how it is for the most part.
And how do you hook that bait?
What I like to do is you take the fish, say this is your mackerel, the tail end, the tail end would be over here. You butterfly the tail end. So what you do is cut in on one side of the bone, then you cut in on the other side of the bone, reach up and just pull the whole tail off. And the reason that we take this tail off is because when your bait is sitting in the water, you want it to sit still. You want it to sit still as possible so the thresher shark will come and eat it. When thresher sharks hunt in the ocean, they use their tail as a weapon. They swim under the bait fish, they fling their tail up over their head, miscombobulate all the bait fish on top of them, and then they swim back through and they eat that bait fish. So if you have a mackerel sitting out there on your float rig, sitting there not moving, and they're swimming around, they're like, oh, that one's already dead right there, and they go and just smack it right away.
That's a great tip, and that's exactly what they do. They whip that tail, stun the bait, and then circle back around and eat the bait. So that makes a great deal of sense.
Yep, and if you leave that tail on the mackerel, when it's in the water, it'll spin. Like the water and stuff will hit that tail and it'll cause it to spin and move, and you kind of just want it to sit there, And then the two little pieces that are hanging off on the end, they'll flutter and move around in the water some, and that'll attract them alone, the skin reflecting and whatnot in the water, so it's definitely good to butterfly your tails. If you don't do it, start doing it, and you'll probably hook up more.
Best time of the year to fish for threshers, Brad?
Summertime. Whenever the waters are like 65 to 70 degrees, I would say. 65 to 70 degrees are prime time. So honestly, like right now is a decent time to fish for them. But, in springtime, summer, when it's starting to get warm out and the waters are starting to heat up, that's the best time. And, yeah, I'd say summertime.
All right, that summertime. Sounds good. I think we got the thresher shark thing down. I love catching those fish, and as you said, the culinary value to them.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
Even more sought after.
We got one last question before we get out of the thresher shark fishing from Arnie. He's asking what you think about the new bait casting reels that some of these manufacturers are coming out with. The Daiwa Alexa is one of them. Okuma has some. I think Shimano has some as well. I know that most of these are coming in at about 25 pounds of drag. A lot of guys are using them for tuna fishing, the smaller grade, yellowtail fishing, white sea bass fishing. Is that a type of? Can you use that type of reel for shark fishing? Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I would say so, and I personally don't use those reels that you mentioned a lot, so I'm not going to talk on them too much. But I see a lot of people using those, and they work definitely good for tuna, all that kind of stuff. But I don't see them as much for shark fishing. I wouldn't say so. I'm sure they could work, but you're going to want to run something bigger. Like if you're shark fishing, it's safer to run something bigger. And, you don't want to get caught with your pants down, which happens to a lot of people. But honestly, a lot of those reels can handle sharks, especially thresher sharks. If you're fishing for other sharks, like bigger sharks, like, 6 gills and that kind of stuff, then I would run something along the lines of a 30 wide and bigger, and that's just to be safe. But yeah, if you're going from the pier, all those reels, they'll definitely work for thresher sharks. That's a definite.
That is one thing I definitely wouldn't want to see is the perch jerker caught with his pants down. That would be out of the question. Yeah. And Arnie, by the way, Arnie is down there in Ensenada, Baja California.
Okay.
Arnie Sport Fishing in Ensenada. Arnie, I'm coming down there on the 3rd. Hopefully I'll see you, but it's great that he's watching. We got other countries watching you tonight.
I know, that's so cool, man. That is so cool.
That is awesome. Pick a place that you want to talk about. And
and
if you could, let's do it for the winter time or the fall wintertime bite. So people can go out and do something right now.
Okay. Let's go to San Diego. I love fishing in San Diego. It's a beautiful place. We go to a pier down there that's called Shelter Island Pier. And this is a wonderful pier. And the coolest thing about this pier is you can catch sharks on casted rigs. So, and I think you can get thresher sharks down there. But you can get a lot of like 7 gills and soup fins down there, which is so cool that you can actually do that with casted gear from a pier.
So explain to us what casted gear, what do you mean by casted gear?
Casted gear is the thresher shark setup that I talked about.
Okay.
Which is where you take the Sputnik, send it into the ocean, and then you slide your baits down.
Got it.
And you can slide your baits down with a float on it, or you can send your bait down to the bottom of the ocean without a float on it. And
depending upon what species you're after?
Exactly.
Yeah. So for threshers, are you using the float?
Yes. Threshers and makos, we always use the floats. And for 6 gills, 7 gills, any other bottom dwellers, we'll just send it right to the bottom. And then we'll also kayak baits. Like you'll see in a lot of our videos, Tyler and Chris, they just take the baits out, you throw it in the kayak, and that's when the bigger fishing reels come in, like the 30 wides, the 80 wides, and now we're up to 130 wides, which are like the pinnacle of reels. They're massive, and we're pretty confident when we fish with those now. You're not going to lose anything.
And is that because you need that much pulling power, or is it just line capacity? You're able to get that bait out there a lot farther.
It's a little bit of both, It's just securing yourself on both ends. You have more line to work with, you have more drag, you have more everything. And then say we're out fishing for fun, let's get some 7 gills, and we're dropping baits, and say we accidentally hook into like a 1,000-pound mako or something. It's like we want to be ready for that fight and be able to bring it in,
So back to the Shelter Island Pier. Is that open all hours of the day?
Yeah, I do believe that is a 24-hour
I've never
pier.
fished that, so that sounds like a cool place.
Yeah, it's a wonderful pier. You do have to be careful, though. I will tell you the current there is very strong.
Uh-huh.
So you got to definitely be careful of the current there, and that's about it.
In terms of the sinkers you're bringing?
Yeah. Like you got to use heavy sinkers or something like that, definitely.
And you mentioned these kayakers. You're talking about them fishing from the kayak or them taking
No.
your bait way out
You
there?
take the bait out in the kayak.
Yeah, my kids always wanted to do that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Has anybody done that with a drone, by the way? Is there a drone that can fly out there?
There's actually a drone that a company, I think it's called Splash Drones.
Yeah.
Guys are using them for surf fishing. I've seen videos of when the tuna were pretty close to Dana Point.
Yeah.
There was a guy on the beach fishing for tuna and bluefin that were like a mile off of the beach.
Did he get one?
I don't know if he got one, but there's footage of it on YouTube.
That's pretty bitchin', huh?
It's pretty cool.
That's
is a drone,
sweet.
and it's specifically designed for fishing. It's got a little release clip on there.
Oh, man.
And it's bright orange, so that it's waterproof. So if it falls in the water, you're able to get it back.
You didn't look at the price of that thing, did
it's
you?
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
$4,000.
run. Yeah, they're expensive.
But it's definitely awesome. I would imagine catching a fish using that would be
Are you
awesome.
kidding? I mean, because you can identify several. I mean, you start getting down toward Cabo, and there's that just sheer
blue water.
drop off where you're probably catch a marlin from the beach.
Oh yeah,
Down there. So I'm sure you could do that.
That would be awesome.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, another experience that you want to talk about, or another great fishing zone.
Let's see. Newport Beach area is underrated. They have the back bay, which is really wonderful to fish. The back bay is excellent. And even the surf up in between the rocks up there are real good for, yellowfin croakers. If you want to go out and jam, I've seen people pulling monster halibut there. And you can use like Lucky Crafts for halibut, little white swim baits. Anything like that will work for halibut. And then sand crabs. I want to get on sand crabs for surf fishing because that is a staple. Obviously, it's a known bait for surf fishing and you want to use it. But if you run, the high-low rig, get your dropper loops in, and you throw a couple sand crabs on there, it gets bit almost every time I throw it in the ocean.
You love fishing sand crabs. I mean,
Love
it's
fishing
such
sand
a
crabs.
great bait.
It's
right?
a wonderful bait.
For a variety of species.
Yep. And the thing is, too, you can catch them and you can freeze them at home. and bring them out like a week later and use them, and they'll still eat them just the same.
That is absolutely true. Frozen sand crabs work really, really good. And they're not available in the wintertime, so
exactly,
it's a good idea to do that.
Yep.
Sure.
I got some in my freezer right now, and you can only take, I believe, 50 sand crabs when you go out. So don't ever take more than 50. You'll get in trouble. You don't want to do that.
Right.
And then we got the Shark Sniper asking, do perch prefer the pier or the beach, and why?
Good question, Shark Sniper. So I prefer the beach rather than piers. And the reason being is I feel more free and to myself on the beach. You know, because if you're on the pier, you're sharing the pier with other people. You got people's stuff next to you. You got tackle all around you. Tons of poles in the water. You don't know how many people are going to be there. People can harass you and you can't do anything about it. You're kind of just out in public. You know what I'm saying? So on the beach, I feel like you get your own spot almost. And we like to fish on the beach at night. So when we go to the beach at night, everyone leaves the beach. And this is also another good tip for anyone that wants to fish on the beach at night in California. Section 1 of 25 of the California Constitution protects fishermen in California when you are actively fishing on a state beach at nighttime. And this doesn't go for county beaches. If you're in a county beach will trump the state every time, and you got to listen to the county what their rules are. But if you're on a state beach, you are protected from getting kicked off the beach if you are actively fishing, meaning you have lines in the water, or a line. You could walk up and throw one line in, and boom, you're fishing. You can stay all night.
You know how many guys with their girlfriends down at the beach are going to bring a fishing rod from now on?
Exactly.
Hey, you got to
right.
I'm fishing.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm fishing, right? I didn't know that. That's good to know.
They do have to have a fishing license, right? If you're fishing on the beach.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Just want to make sure.
You need your fishing license, and you also need the ocean enhancement.
Yeah, because there's always questions about, the piers versus the beach and everything. I know that on piers, you actually don't need a fishing license.
Not at all.
And on the beach, but just to be clear, the beach, you do need your fishing license.
Yes.
The Shark Sniper asked that question, and I completely agree. One other thing, though, that it gives you the advantage, like when you're fishing the pier, those perch are in that shallow water. So you are confined to that area. Yep. On the beach, you can start walking. You can cover a lot of territory. So it also gives you that advantage, right?
It's so true. And when you're fishing for perch, a lot of people that fish for perch, that they will sit in the same spot sometimes. So you could fish somewhere hard, and catch nothing, and then walk like a quarter mile down the beach, and there's just perch everywhere in that spot. So it definitely helps to be on the beach. You can kind of search what you're looking for.
And Brad, a point that we should make right now is some guys on sport boats, when you get on a sport boat and you start catching perch, you're like, this sucks,
Yeah,
but
to them.
But barred perch and other perch, catching them from the beach is such a different experience. In fact, barred perch can be super aggressive, fight super hard depending on the tackle you're using. They are a kick.
I agree 100%. And that's one of the first fish that I started catching when I first moved out here and was fishing. And I'm in the surf, and I'd hook into something and think it was huge, and I'd be pulling up this little, like 11-inch surf perch, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, these guys fight so hard. But that's one of the things that got me hooked. It's like, it was such a fun experience, and the fact that they fight that hard, because you won't find that in freshwater. There's no way. The freshwater perch won't fight that hard.
Well, we're kind of stumbling into the perch now, so let's talk about whether you like artificials or bait. And the best way to catch barred. Let's talk about barred perch. Best way to catch barred perch. What do you like?
Barred surf perch. You can use Lucky Crafts if you want. They will bite lures and swim baits sometimes. But personally, I like to use Carolina rigs with a gulp artificial sandworm. You can use real sandworms. They're kind of hard to get. You got to get them shipped out here and whatnot. And yeah, I would say a Carolina rig with light line, like 10 pound, with a artificial gulp sandworm on the end is almost your sure bet if you want to head to the surf and throw out and reel and just try to catch perch. Now, if you want to bait and wait, which is one of my new favorite things to do, just because when we go out to catch, sharks and stuff, it's like I can't be sitting there casting the entire time. So I like to run the double dropper loop with like a 3-ounce Sputnik sinker at the bottom, and I try all kinds of different stuff. I use fish bites, which are these little red strips that have like this mesh in between them, and they work wonderful. Tyler, the shark sniper, actually turned me on to those. And then you can also use, like I said, those gulp sandworms. You can use the sand crabs. you can use, these are actually bigger versions, little squids. I've had little tiny squids on there before. These are from Fish Extrata. They're wonderful surf baits. And I've put a little bit of everything on there, honestly.
Yeah, and the sandworms are a super effective bait because they're indigenous to here, so those fish are used to eating them. But
big time.
Oh my God, Brad, are they a pain in the neck to try to catch yourself? You got to dig these holes,
yeah.
And they are a pain in the neck. I see these Vietnamese fishermen who I've made friends with. One guy, James, who fishes Surfside a lot, and they spend the time and they work hard and they dig up these sandworms and they're catching these big spot fin croaker on a regular basis. My kids and I went out there and got tired after about a half hour. It is a pain. So the gulp sandworm is a reasonable way to do it.
We got a series of questions coming in here, guys. Jason Allen is asking, what is your guys' opinion on the oil spill, and is that affecting the wildlife, the fish that you guys are normally catching? Have you guys seen anything as far as the oil spill?
You go first.
Okay. Well, so the oil spill, from everything I can see, has been less than it was when it first was happening. They thought there was a lot more oil that went in the water. It doesn't seem to be that much.
I think initially they said about 125,000 gallons, and now I heard 25. Correct. It was just 25,000 gallons.
Correct. So they weren't sure, and it probably resulted from a ship anchor dragging in that zone. So it wasn't the oil company's fault. It was a ship that anchored in there. Of course, we have all these container ships that have backed up here on the Southern California coast, part of the supply chain crisis that I was out with Fox News just the other day covering. So it doesn't seem to be that bad. There were some fatalities. I'm not trying to downplay that any kind of an event like this is bad for the environment. We certainly want to guard against it. I actually was out kind of surveying that area here recently, and it looked like things were back to normal. There were fish around, and it looked like things were going to be okay. But only time will tell. The scientists need to do a little bit more research, I think. There's some tests that I'm aware of that are currently going on, so we'll keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully everything's going to be okay, Brad.
I agree. It's a terrible thing that happened, honestly. Like, it was horrible to see all that oil on the beaches and everything. I saw it on birds, and, we were just really concerned about the fishery. We didn't know if all the fish were going to die, because this is new for me. Coming from Ohio, we didn't have oil spills like that in the ocean. And the fact that, I fish out here all the time, and an oil spill happened right in my backyard. I literally live in Huntington Beach, so it kind of hit home, and I'm like, man, I can't go up to the pier right now and go fishing.
Right.
They closed it down, and then I think they tried closing it down again the other day. So I'm not exactly sure when we can fish again around that area. But yeah, it was definitely devastating. One of the ships dropped the anchor on it, and it hit it. Things happen. That's life. Accidents happen. We tried to avoid it, but, it's just very sad. And I just hope it gets better. I hope everything gets cleaned up and we get back to normal.
One thing, Steve, worth mentioning, and this is not taking either side of the political, but there's always a narrative out there that you have to be aware of, that one side is trying to spin a narrative this way and the other that way. And you never get like the news anymore. You always get this spin on it. So you have to try to unravel that all also and figure out where the truth is. And the truth is that there are some tests going on right now on some fish that were caught in those areas, and those results will come back, and that will tell us a lot more about the contamination.
Right. And then Jason is also stating, since we were talking about fishing on the beach, you need your fishing license to fish on the beach. He's saying that in Mexico you actually don't need a fishing license to fish off of the beach.
Jason is absolutely right. You do not need a license. You do if you're out on a boat, but the Mexican government is trying to make it possible for people who do not have the means to go out on a boat, for some of the people that are on the poor end of the spectrum in Mexico, to be able to go out, catch some fish, and bring it back to their family. So piers and fishing, surf fishing in Mexico, Jason is 100%, and he's down in Mexico a lot. He loves fishing down there, so he's right on that one. I wish it was that way here.
And then Kauai Monsters 805 is asking what size hooks. I think he was talking about when you guys were talking about using the sand crabs for bait, using, what size hooks are you guys using for surf fishing generally?
Small. You always want to go small, because The surf fish have really small mouths. I run, I don't know, like 12 to 14. Little small guys, you know. So the smaller you can go, usually the better. But yeah, I don't know. About as big as your thumbnail, you know. You can get that big, 12, 14. Those should work perfect.
Unless you see that you're fishing bigger perch, but for the most part, that's sage advice, great advice.
Yeah. I would also include that you want to carry a variety of size hooks, because then that way, if you see that the fish are actually bigger, then you can go bigger on your hook size.
Yeah, I mean, because when we were down in Playa Saldamondo here recently, geez, I'm talking like 2 to 3+ pound bar perch, and they were friggin' monsters. They were such cool fish, Brad. Both Martine and I were stoked to see that. So for the most part, starting with that smaller hook is the best way to go, and then you can upgrade. And like Steve says, you got to have that variety of tackle with you, and if you do that, you got all your bases covered.
And then, are you guys using circle hooks, J hooks, treble hooks? What do you guys recommend?
For the perch, I like to use J hooks. And you can use circle hooks, sure. Get a tiny circle hook, you can use it, but I like to use J hooks just to secure the bag when you're fishing for perch, you know? Because sometimes they'll be able to spit those circles, but yeah, I usually use J hooks, but you could use either or, honestly.
Awesome.
There's more questions. You know, I've got to say one thing. There are so many questions coming in. We're so grateful to all of you. And I know the Perch Jerker has brought you all here tonight. And it's just great to see more and more questions coming in. And that's why we're doing the live podcast, so we can include you all. We thank you all very much. Is there another question, Steve?
Yeah, Jason's asking if you have ever caught a lizard fish. They're everywhere on the piers in Southern California, so I can imagine you have. Like I said, they're usually everywhere. They're usually kind of a pesty fish that you have to go through when you're out there fishing.
Yeah, I've definitely caught some lizard fish. I always catch those on the sabiki rigs, which I don't think we've talked about sabiki rigs too much. Let me cover that a little bit.
Do it.
But yes, I have caught lizard fish. They're those little like brown fish. They got like the bigger mouths and they have teeth too. They're so gnarly. I love showing them on the videos whenever I catch them.
Have you ever eaten one?
No, they're too small. That'd be like a snack. I'd like suck that thing down or something.
How about you? I mean, they're just so slimy and awful. I've never. We got to feed one to somebody. Stop puking.
I got some people that'll eat some stuff. I'll tell you what. I got some people.
All right, that's perfect.
Yes, so I've never eaten a lizard fish, but I've definitely caught them. Now, for catching them, like I said, we catch them on sabiki rigs, and we use sabiki rigs with tiny, tiny little hooks on them, like back down to like the 8s and 10s and that kind of stuff. So use super small hooks for the sabiki rigs, and we like to put shrimp, squid, or mackerel on the hooks just to help whatever's down there to find the hook and eat the bait. And then also another pro tip for sabiki rig fishing is get a jig, not like this one's probably too big, but get a jig that's smaller, little metal jackers, anything like that'll work, and you want to put it on the bottom of the sabiki rig instead of a weight. So if you think about it, you're fishing for 2 different fish at once, If there's a huge bonito swimming around, it's going to smack that jig at the bottom, and then you can bring that up, while you're bait fishing too. So that's a little tip that I wish I knew sooner for sabiki rigs.
And what are you focusing on when you're fishing sabiki rigs?
I'm usually focusing on catching mackerel to use as bait for bigger fish.
Okay. Perfect.
And almost everyone out here, when you're out with the sabiki rig, you're going for mackerel. That's just, the hot fish to catch with sabiki rigs.
Awesome. And then we actually got a fish report from James Moser. He's saying that he was out on Isers on Sunday, and it was pretty good. I imagine he probably caught some sand bass, calico. I was actually out in front of San Pedro on my boat, and we did pretty good on calico as well. And then we have Luke Flores saying that in Hawaii, you actually don't need a fishing license either, like in Mexico.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, Luke. And James, sometimes when I give my fish report, I'm talking more about the sport boats, and James just hit me over the head. And I need to talk about, because private boater opportunities are much different than when you have a boat with 40 people on it. Like, you can get out there and get on a much smaller rock and do really, really well. So thank you, James. You're absolutely 100% right. And fall and wintertime bass fishing can be spectacular. Yep. All right, back to you again. Any other place that you'd like to mention or talk about, something that stands out, maybe geographical areas? We've talked San Diego, we've talked about the Huntington Beach Fair. How about up in the northern region, Santa Barbara?
Well, hold on, before you guys get into that, Brad covered, when I asked him, cover everything from the hook to the butt of the rod for thresher fishing. Let's do that for surf fishing perch. What would what do you recommend as far as gear and tackle?
I would recommend, which is just my personal favorite rod to use, would be a Shimano 4000 FE reel. It's perfect size for the surf. Nothing's going to spool you. You can fit plenty of 10-pound fluoro on it, or even 20-pound braid like I use. And then you can pair that with a scimitar rod. You can get a Shimano scimitar rod. It's a 2-piece, 8-foot rod. And I like the 2-piece just because it's easy to travel with.
Yeah.
And you're in the surf. You don't have to worry about, having a single piece. So I would say a Shimano 4000 FE reel and a scimitar rod is more than enough. You won't go wrong. And you're not going to get charged over like $100 for the combo. So I say run that, definitely. That's my favorite setup for the surf.
Perfect.
Fishing the surf for a lot of people is a daunting task. They get out there, they don't catch anything. I remember being a kid and surf fishing and never catching a damn thing.
Yes.
But once you that's why your YouTube channel is so important, because you show people exactly what to do. And once they start to have success at it, you can get hooked like so deep. And the other thing that's so great about it, Brad, is that you can accomplish this before work, after work. You just need a few hours. It's not that expensive.
So true.
Once you have the gear, it's a really great family adventure. There's so much about fishing the beach and piers that is great. And if you happen, and my dad, he was a guy that was chronically seasick. My wife, who doesn't like to fish, but I probably could drag her out on the pier if there was a hamburger stand out there or something.
Yeah, me too.
All those things just combine to make this such an attractive way to spend an afternoon or a morning.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's unmatchable, I'm telling you. Go into the beach, and that's the thing, you can do it as soon as you wake up in the morning, or you can do it in the middle of the night, as long as it's a state beach, of course. And yeah, it's just a wonderful thing to do. It's great exercise too. Going out there, standing in the waves, it's great exercise. And you can bring your beach and stuff, blankets, you can hang out when you don't want to fish, relax. It's awesome. Then whenever you catch the fish, almost all the fish that you can catch in the surf, you can eat a lot of them. So a lot of people like that. A lot of people like to reward themselves with their craft, so they like to have fish that they can keep and eat, which the surf is full of them.
Yeah, you're going to have to cue up the Beavis and Butthead laugh when he says you can do it on the beach at night. Come on.
You can do it on the beach at night, you guys.
What's wrong with you?
Especially at night.
You have another question, Steve?
Yeah, we got tons of questions coming in.
Keep them coming.
Bring them.
So we got Luke asking for a spot recommendation for thresher shark in the summer and winter.
As far as pier-based, you could go San Clemente Pier. You could go Huntington Beach Pier. You could go Seal Beach Pier even. I know they've caught them there.
Do you have one that stands out, or is it...
Huntington Beach. That's just my favorite pier.
Yeah.
And it produces a lot of thresher sharks. San Clemente also will produce thresher sharks. Seal Beach, you'll catch them there. I don't hear as many there, but you can definitely get them there. And... then there's probably tons of other piers that I haven't fished on this coast that you can catch them at that I just don't know about,
Yeah, and in that part of the great thing about this, you have so much more to experience, so much more to find out about, and then you'll share that with all your folks.
Big time. And that's one of the things I want to start doing. Probably in the beginning of next year, I'm really going to focus on hitting every pier. I want to start hitting every different pier, and if I haven't gone there, I'm just going to take all my stuff, fish it, and show everyone what happens when you go there and, drop squid in the ocean, drop your crab traps, throw your thresher shark baits out, just start fishing every pier. And that's another thing about my channel, too, is it's not specific, Like some of these channels you'll watch, like they'll only go on sport fishing boats, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to do everything. Like, if you told me there was some new kind of fishing with, like, helicopters, I'd be like, dude, let's go do it. That sounds awesome,
And I've noticed that on your channel, because when I heard Perch Jerker, I figured you're just fishing the beach. But then when I watch your channel for you're all over the place.
Go everywhere.
You just love fishing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I want to experience all the other different kinds, too, so.
And then Shark Sniper is asking, what is the most memorable catch of your lifetime? Then we had Jason chime in, and he said that he caught... his first blue marlin last year in Los Barriles, Baja, which is one of my favorite places to fish. And it must have been 150 pounds. So what's one of your most memorable catches?
Ooh, that's a good question. One of my most memorable catches would probably be one of two sharks that we've caught. One of them would be a 7-gill shark that I got down at Shelter Island Pier, and it was the second 7-gill that we caught that night. And Tyler remembers this thing, and we were reeling it in. It ended up breaking off once we got the net down to it, which was probably better because we wanted to release it anyway. But we were bringing this thing up, and we're looking over the edge, and this thing was huge. It was the biggest 7-gill I've ever seen in my life.
Give us an estimate. How big?
Maybe 10, 12 feet, something
Wow.
like that. It was just a monster. I've never seen one this big. And it was up at the pier, and we dropped the net down trying to get it, which wasn't going to happen anyway. And then the hook ended up popping, and we're just like, all right, see you later, shark, and it swam off. That was one of them. And then the second one is probably going to be the prickly shark that I caught last weekend. I was with Chris and Tyler from lbsfguides.com, and we went out, and I've been trying to catch a prickly shark for a long time now, like months, and I'm talking like days of sitting on the beach trying. And we finally did it while I was there to capture the whole experience and everything. And my buddy actually flew out here from Ohio. He caught one, and then I caught one. And it was just an awesome experience.
Is that video up now?
Yeah, that video's up
Great.
on my channel.
Great.
And it's such a rare shark. Like, people don't catch them. It's the first video on the internet of someone catching and releasing a prickly shark. We looked it up. We looked it up for weeks. We've scoured the internet. We couldn't find a single video of anyone on the internet. Like, yeah, we caught this shark. It didn't exist.
Did you go down to catch a prickly shark?
Yeah.
You were focusing
We were
on
targeting on catching
Yeah.
one, yeah. Which other people have caught them. Yes, definitely. We are not the first people to catch one. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we're the first people to, put out informational video on catching one. But yeah, they've definitely been caught before. But like I said, we were scouring the internet. We just wanted to learn, We're like, what do we do? What's this shark about? And we ended up catching them, and they were awesome. Both releases went flawless. The shark swam off strong both times. Everything went out perfect. And it was honestly, that's probably one of my most memorable experiences. Plus, my buddy was here from Ohio, and he got one too right before me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was clockwork, man.
Shout out to Eddie Dalmau down there in Los Barriles. He's told me he was going to be watching tonight. Jason probably knows him. He's there at Palmas de Cortez. He's been with them for many decades, and he's a big Irish fan. Go Irish, Eddie!
Irish.
So then we also have Mikey V saying that he's yet to find any success besides rays and skates in the surf. Maybe we need to have him come out with you, and you guys can go out fishing. And then Jeff Yeomans is saying basically the same thing. Isn't it mostly rays off of Seal Beach Pier?
You'll catch a lot of rays. You'll catch a lot of everything else too. I had a meetup there one time. We had a whole event. I did a whole tournament there, and I can check the thumbnail, but I believe we caught 15 different species.
That's great.
So there was not just stingrays there by any chance. One of the species we caught was a white sea bass. There was like 3 white sea bass. Now, granted, they were all small. We threw them back right away. But we caught white sea bass and then 14 other species. And then there was actually a halibut and a leopard shark caught on that pier that day that I didn't get on video, that I didn't include in the 15 species that we caught because I didn't have it on video. So there's like 17 different species that I've seen at Seal Beach Pier.
Now, typically for guys that are fishing boats, private boaters and stuff, everything that I've heard is typically when you're in an area and you're catching rays or skates or whatever, it's a good sign of life, which means that there's a food source. I think we touched on this
Right.
on the last
Yeah.
podcast. But it also may mean that your bait is sitting a little too close to the bottom, right? I mean, what would you recommend to these guys that are saying that they only catch rays and skates?
Your bait sitting on the bottom is kind of something you just kind of have to do in the surf. It's kind of hard if you're just close range surf fishing to like float something out there. You can, but you'll probably catch the same type of fish anyway, even if it's just floating up a little bit. So in the surf, I would say maybe switch up your bait. Like if you want to catch perch or yellowfin croakers, try something smaller, or try a little tiny piece of squid that maybe a bat ray's not going to see or something,
And Mikey V, you do not suck. You just need a little more info. You can watch the Perch Jerker's videos. You just need to go at the right time. I don't know if you factor in, I'm sure you do the tides, high tide, low tides for different species, but that's absolutely all you need, and then you'll be on top of it. And talking about Seal Beach, that is referred to as Ray Bay, and it's mostly
There's a lot there.
Freaking round stingrays, those little
they're everywhere.
Expletive deleted. Have you stepped on them before?
I've never been stung. I've been sliced, like a little cut here and there, but I haven't been stung.
Oh my
I've
God.
seen someone get stung right in their hand. It was rough.
Screwed so many times, it's freaking ridiculous.
Yep.
And it hurts like a BAST, and I won't finish that. It really freaking hurts bad. I watched Bob Osborne, who I surf fish with a lot. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, Brad. Step on a round stingray and then just scream. And take another step and step on a freaking another one.
No,
the other
no
foot.
way.
And, I had to quit fishing because I had to go up and start heating water up and help the poor guy out. He's helped me out so many times when I've stepped on him. But, yeah, Ray Bay, there's no doubt about it. And you not only catch those round stingrays, but you catch those butterfly rays and all kinds of other stuff. And they're fun, actually.
I love it.
The butterfly rays are a kick.
Yep, big time. And, for me, it's like that's the difference between getting skunked and not, It's like, are you willing to take a couple rays?
Yeah, right?
I have fun with it. I don't mind it at all.
And, of course, all of you folks out there, and I love catching halibut in the surf.
Oh, yeah,
There's nothing better than getting a nice legal flatty out of the surf.
Ren is actually mentioning that he's got a couple monster halibuts that he gets right at the river entrance for the Santa Ana River.
That's a great
spot.
Right?
It is, yep.
Yeah.
And he also gets a couple of nice spotties down there as well.
Spotfin croaker, that's
I think
spotted bass.
Like spotted bass.
Oh,
is what he's talking about.
Oh, okay. At nighttime or in the daytime?
Doesn't say, but I'm sure it's probably if you're fishing nighttime, I think that's the ideal time for spotted bass.
For sure.
But you can get them during the day as well.
Yeah, that's also a good spot for spotfin croaker. So that and barred perch and everything. But there's a good halibut spot down there.
Oh yeah, yep.
There's a guy, Edward Halterman, and he likes to get live smelt and go down there and fish, and he wallops those things, man. They really bite well. I fish a crocodile a lot. I don't know if have you ever thrown a crocodile?
I don't throw crocodile. I have some, but I never throw them.
I'm like live and die on those
That's
things.
Phil's go-to.
Yeah, just because I'm lazy. Like I go with Osborne, who I just mentioned, and that guy, he's constantly changing it up, and he most of the time we're pretty close. But I just keep throwing the croc, and I catch yellowfin croaker and halibut, and some days I don't catch anything, and guys fishing bait are killing them. But that's my go-to. I like fishing that bait. I do switch it up and fish lucky crafts and everything else, but that is a lot of fun, no question about it.
Big time.
All right, another good piece of advice for this time of the year? Where would you, if I said, hey, look, I got this beautiful girl, and she wants to go fishing with you, and your whole future with her is based on her catching some really cool fish right now, what would you do? Where would you send her? Where would you take her?
I would probably take her to a deeper pier right now. So I would say like Huntington Beach Pier, or even Shelter Island would be a good spot. Go to a deeper pier, and I would just sink mackerel. Sink chunks of mackerel, sink whole mackerel, and that's going to be your best bet for this time of year because, there's not too many of the summer fish out right now, but there is still, leopard sharks, soup fins, all that kind of stuff that are going to be dwelling at the bottom. And then you can honestly still catch huge bat rays, Like I'm sure girls would have fun catching a giant bat ray, it's not something that you see that often, that, the monsters at least. But yeah, I would say just throw some mackerel from a pier, or if you go to the surf, use those sandworms and throw them for perch. Like definitely. The perch, I'm pretty sure, are a better winter biting fish, but they bite all year, so.
I noticed and I mentioned this right up front, those gatherings that you have, there seems to be the camaraderie, the family atmosphere. I see that unfolding in those videos. It's a really nice thing you got going there. It's a thing that people should feel welcome to bring their kids, their wives, the whole family out on, right? Why don't you talk about some of your events and if you have any planned for the future? Yeah,
they are referred to as Jerk Squad meetups, and I've had 9 so far. I've had 9 meetups, and everyone's been hounding me about scheduling meetup number 10, which I'm working on it. But this oil spill really put a damper on me scheduling number 10.
Because you don't know when it's going to open up, right?
Exactly, which is why I said I wanted to have it at HB, just because Huntington Beach Pier is like my home. And there's plenty of space, there's bathrooms, bait shops, and everything. So the oil spill definitely put a damper on it, but I'm pretty sure things are starting to open back up. So I'm probably going to end up scheduling one here soon. But yeah, as far as the meetups go, it's just a place for everyone to come. Bring your family, bring your kids. There's always tons of kids. That's my favorite thing, you know, because me and all my buddies and all their friends, you know, we all fish and do this all the time. But when the kids come out there, it's special because they don't have a ride to come do that every day. But if they're telling their parents, like, you guys, the Perch Jerker's up at the pier, we want to go see him, and they always show up, like, yeah, my kid wants to see you. And I'm like, hey, bring him out here, you know, and we start teaching them to fish. And, you know, I'll hook them up on fish. Like, I'll hook something like, hey, come here, take this, you know, and they'll be, like, freaking out, bringing up something over the edge. And that's what I like. That's what I live for. And I love sharing the experience with the kids.
And there's nothing better than seeing that smile on a kid's face with that first hookup, right?
Exactly. And I'm usually right there with them, smiling and screaming, like, yeah, we got a little fish. Like, you know, I just get so excited when we catch anything. As you can see from my videos, even Chris tells me till today, he's like, dude, you still get excited over the smallest fish. I'm like, I know. But I think that's a good problem to have.
Oh, are you kidding me?
It's a great problem to have.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw that when you were catching those walleye perch. And I'm looking at these tiny little walleye perch. And I think anybody else who was doing that, I may have gone like, you know, I'm going to go over and see what Notre Dame football is doing or something. But you were so enthusiastic and having so much fun with it that I stayed with it. And I continued with it. Because of you could just see the love you have for the sport and how much you totally enjoy it, and it's infectious, which is great.
I like that, infectious.
Yeah. Yes, Steve.
Luke Flores is asking, Perch, do you recommend any tackle stores that carry all the thresher shark rigs and floats? I know Big Fish has a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
And I think you can find some of it in 22nd Street Landing as well. But what tackle stores do you recommend as far as getting some of this tackle?
We go through catchalltackle.com. We make all of our own gear. We don't, you know, go and buy it from tackle stores. You know, we'll buy the wire and just bend it all. We make our own Sputnik weights. Chris and Tyler have made almost every single one of our shark leaders that we have.
The floats you make?
No, we don't make the floats. We'll usually you can either buy like a foam ball and put wire through it and tie it off if you want. You can use anything. Yeah. We actually had at Catalina Island, we were running a mannequin head that was foam. It was the funniest thing.
I love that. That's awesome.
We sent an entire mannequin head out, and we actually got a huge run on it. We think it was a Mako, but...
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
You can use anything you want. But yeah, personally, we get all of our... And we buy in bulk, you know, because we make tons of leaders all the time. So we go to Catch All Tackle, and that's where we get all our leaders. We build them all ourselves. And then all of our heavy fishing line that we get for fishing, we get from Josh Lee, who is from Texas Fishing Reels, and they are an awesome company for braid. If you ever need heavy braid for like a 30 wide, we spooled the 130 wides with it. Texas Fishing Reels, Josh Lee is a good guy. So look up Texas Fishing Reels. They'll have wonderful line for you.
Oh, my God. I need for Halloween next year, Steve, Friedman Adventures has got to have the Chucky head. You know?
Yeah.
Come on. That would be, see that thing get towed around by whatever. That's a cool idea. I like that.
That's honestly an awesome idea. Start making like custom floats, you know, because you can see them from the pier. They'll be sitting out there and you can see it. That would be awesome to have decorative ones.
That is too funny. You got another question there, Steve? Okay. Anything else?
I'm trying to think.
Don't do that. I have very difficult
I don't
time
like
doing
to
that.
think, but I'm trying. Oh, go ahead.
Jason just asked if you had ever caught a great white shark before.
Yeah, I've caught a great white shark before.
I think we touched on that earlier, but go ahead.
He might not have heard it, so go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, but yeah, I've caught a great white shark before. When you're dropping huge bat ray in the ocean, it's bound to happen at one point or the other, you know?
Now talk to me about how do you fish the entire bat ray?
No, you
So
just
you
take
slice off the
take a
wing?
chunk as big as your fist or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Put
throw
a
that
giant
in.
hook in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use, anywhere from, like 12 to 24 aught.
Yeah.
We go, big, small. Depends on where you're fishing and what you're trying to catch. But yeah, throw a huge chunk in, the size of your fist, a little bit bigger. That should be good.
I've heard you mention bat ray several times. That sounds like the go-to bait.
Bat ray is shark candy. Every coast you go to Florida, you go to Texas, they're all running bat rays to catch these sharks. And you can also run finfish, throw a yellowtail head out there. Put a bonito out there. Bonito work wonderful. You can get a pantyhose and fill it with mackerel and put that on your hook and throw it out there. They'll eat that too,
I've run out of pantyhose lately. So
yeah. Well, I got some for you. Don't worry.
Okay.
I like that.
Speaking of thornback rays, you talked about that recently?
Yeah, thornback skates. Yep.
Osborne and I were fishing, and we had a bunch, and I go, let's eat these things. Let's try them. So, we cut off, and I'll tell you, the next day, I just was thinking about the previous night and seeing these things, and I'm like, I'm not going to. But there's this girl I know, and she loves fish. So I took her, we had some yellowfin croaker, and I go, hey, Kim, I also have these thornback wings. Do you want them? And she goes like, and I go, okay. And I gave them to her, and I left. I saw her the next day, and she's Vietnamese, and so her mother she goes, that was the best fish we've ever had before. My mother made a soup out of it, and it was delicious. So I'm going to have to try that someday. That thornback wing, there's not a lot there, but I definitely am going to have to try it because she hyped that up like you can't believe. Like, it was delicious.
Right. That is interesting because I've never met someone that actually ate one before. But she ate one and she said it was awesome. So I guess eat it, And that's what a lot of people tell me too, is a lot of fish that I've caught, they've told me not to eat it. Thornbacks being one of them. And I'm like, why not? Like, why can't I try this? And they're like, oh, just trust me, don't eat it. So I've almost been a huge fan of eating all these fish that they tell me not to eat.
Yeah, to try it, right?
Mackerel being one of them. Bat ray being another. Bat ray was actually really good. Chris made some good ceviche one time. It was awesome. And I made a steak. And I soaked this steak in milk and then fried it like chicken or something, and ate it. And it was amazing. It tasted like chicken to me. And I was like, whoever said you can't eat bat rays wrong,
Bill Boyce, who's a Baja expert, was on one of our previous podcasts and swore that mackerel, once you cut the red meat out, make the best fish tacos. I still haven't tried that. But, yeah, I'm with you. I like trying all this different stuff.
Oh, yeah.
My kids came to China when I was there, and they ate cockroaches and cicadas and everything else. So if they can do that, we can do this.
Exactly.
Izzy is asking, what is your personal best fish that you've caught? I don't think it's necessary. Just what your personal best fish ever so far?
Like size or being proud of it?
Both.
All right.
Either.
For size is probably going to be either that 7-gill or maybe even the prickly shark. I haven't caught anything grander. I haven't caught anything that's like, 1,000 pounds, like 15 feet. I haven't gotten anything that big yet. But I'd say probably the huge 7-gill or the prickly shark would be my personal best. And then as far as...
How big were those?
We didn't tape the first one, obviously. And then the second one was about, 7 to 8 feet long. So, but the one that we caught, the one that my buddy caught before that was probably like, 10 plus footer or something like that. But like I said, we didn't tape it, so I can't give you actual measurements. So, and then the fish that I'm the most proud of, I would say, is my yellowtail that I got like 2 to 3 weeks ago. I was out fishing with Fran Lee in San Diego on, what boat were we on? Point Loma. It's like an 18-person boat. And I went out, oh my God, I've never worked so hard for one fish, and I've been paying, thousands of dollars on these boats. I go, out here a lot, out of Newport, and I've never caught a yellowtail. I've been trying for so long, and everyone's like so amazed, like, dude, you've never caught a yellowtail? I'm like, nope. And it wasn't lack of trying either, but I'd say my favorite fish that I caught was probably the yellowtail a couple weeks ago, just because of the amount of time and work that I've put into catching.
Was that a half-day boat?
It was a full day.
A full day. Oh, okay. Yep. And was it on a kelp patty or what?
It was on a kelp patty, yep. And we rolled up to the kelp patty, and I'm like, still learning sport fishing boats, because I've been land-based all this year, and then previously I'd go on boats, and like, I never really asked for help, I'd like watch people and stuff, but I didn't know too much. But now I'm learning a lot more, and we rolled up to this kelp patty, and I found the most live little sardine I could find, and I hooked him on, and I like elbowed through everyone, and like threw my pole in first, and he went diving down, and I hooked up, and I think it was the only yellow we caught on that patty too. So I got extremely lucky, and I was just praying, like, yes, thank you so much, like, that I actually finally got this fish. Because I felt like I was so close to just not catching a yellowtail and going home with nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's friggin' awesome.
So then we have Tyler also asking, it's not really related to surf fishing, however, you guys may be able to answer this. Is it legal to use tiny rockfish as bait for lingcod or bigger rockfish if you stay within that 10-fish limit?
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I don't think it is. I don't think you're allowed to use rockfish as bait.
I don't think so either, but you may want to, hey Tyler, you may want to check with California Fish and Game. You can usually get a hold of them pretty easily on their website. Send them an email. They're pretty responsive. Typically takes about a couple days, in my experience, for them to respond. And
maybe I can reach. I know some people there, so I can reach out, and then on next week's show, I'll write it on the board so I remember to do it, and then I can also try to get that answer for you, Tyler. I do not know the answer to that.
And then Ren says tacos de mantarraya in Baja, which is
Por supuesto que sí, son muy ricos, ¿verdad? They are good. Have you had them, Steve?
I have. My uncle actually makes them on a regular basis.
Do you like them?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, they're good, right?
Yeah. And then Dino is saying that his nephew actually his nephew and him fried up some lizard fish. It was delicious. Clear meat like a jack smelt.
Are you kidding me? Huh. Dino, you are the man. Eating lizard fish. I love you. Yeah, I mean, they're so creepy and slimy that I haven't thought about doing it. But now Dino has convinced me that we have to do that. Steve, I'll prepare them. You test them for me.
I don't know about that.
Sashimi.
Like you say, a lot of people say, and I'm one of them, if it comes out of the sea and it's fresh, it's probably going to be really delicious.
If you can stick a fork in it, you can eat it.
I know, and most of the time, it's going to be really, really delicious.
Should this segue into this?
Yeah. Do you do cooking segments?
Yeah,
on your show?
Do. I didn't even think about that. I do so many different cooking recipes.
What's one of your favorite recipes?
One of my favorite recipes is probably going to be Peruvian ceviche.
Oh.
Peruvian ceviche is so good. If you like ceviche, you'll love it. I have a recipe on my channel of Peruvian ceviche, and I actually use thresher shark to cook it. And what Peruvian ceviche is spicy ceviche made with habanero peppers, or honestly any hot pepper you want. But the way you serve it is different. The way they do it there is they cook whole sweet potatoes, right? You cook a sweet potato where it's nice and moist all the way through, and then you cut it. You cut it into potato chips, and you take those soft potato chips and you put the spicy ceviche on it and you eat it, and oh my God, it is incredible.
That sounds good.
It's sweet, it's spicy, it's juicy. Oh, it's so good.
That sounds good. So the only difference is that you're eating it on the sweet potato?
The sweet potato and the spiciness.
Yeah.
You're putting in, habaneros, jalapenos, whatever you want to make it spicy. But yeah, I'd say the spiciness and the sweet potato just makes the difference.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Are you preparing it the same way? Lime juice, cilantro, all that, and then basically
tomato? Salt, pepper.
Yeah, you can put all of that in there, yes.
Yeah.
And you can do it to your liking, too. If I hate pepper, well, don't put it in there, But it's the same method, with lemon juice, lime juice, and, curing the meat and doing all that.
I freaking love ceviche. There's nothing better than that. It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, I love ceviche.
And talk about being a healthy dish. It's there's no calories in it. There's a lot of protein.
Very healthy.
It's
very
really,
healthy.
really good. Yeah, and it works on a variety of fish. Steve mentioned that you can use triggerfish. They're one of the best. And
yeah, that would be interesting to try, honestly.
Yeah. I made it out of barracuda, and it was good.
No? Wow.
Yeah, so good stuff. All right, anything else, Steve? Do we have any more questions? Is it time for the tackle grab?
Yeah, I think it's time for the tackle grab.
Time for the tackle grab. Wait, do you have anything for the tackle grab?
I do have something for the tackle grab.
What do you have?
All right, right here we have a metal jacker. This is a 100-gram metal jacker. These things are awesome.
Jacker or jerker?
Metal jacker. They could be jerkers if you want them to be.
Well, yeah, I like that, actually.
But they have little balls in them that make noise when they drop. They attract tons of attention.
The jerker has little balls, Steve. Where's the Beavis and Butthead? Come on, man.
We need that sound in here. I wish
Yeah.
we had it. But yeah, I signed this too. So whoever ends up winning this, I signed it. I don't know if that makes it worth any more, but maybe it will be to you. Then I got these little squids from Fish Extrata. Metal jackers are also from Fish Extrata. These are just some little surf squids. You can use them on the pier. They're awesome. Then I also have this UFO that you can use if you're getting more into, like sword fishing or something. It can light up the water down there to start, drawing more attention to what you're doing.
Awesome.
These things are really sweet. And then I got a phone case, which, if you're at the pier, if you're on the beach, if you're doing stuff, your phone's going to get wet, sandy, just something for fun.
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, you can have it. You can have this too.
I'm kidding.
And then I also brought a Perch Jerker shirt, and I signed it as well at the top.
Unfurl that so we can see that beautiful logo.
Yes, we got on the front the Perch Jerker. Boom. And then on the back, the Perch Jerker as well.
Love it.
And you can see I signed it up top here.
And do you have merch available on your website or
Yeah,
anything?
I have the Perch merch store, which has tons of different merch. I've got shirts, beach towels, mugs, phone cases, everything you can think of. Shirts for all sizes, men, women, children, you name it. It is the Perch merch store, and you can find that store in the description of every single one of my YouTube videos. So if you want to find the store, go to any of my YouTube videos, go to the description, and click the Perch merch store. It'll be one of the first links, super easy to find, and like I said, there's everything on there. So if anyone wants to get any Perch merch, hit up the Perch merch store.
And you go to the Perch Jerker on YouTube to find your channel? Is that where they go?
Yeah. If you go to YouTube and type in the Perch Jerker, I will be there. And I also have tons of other social media. I got Reddit, I got Twitter, I've got Instagram, Facebook, and I have Reddit groups for Jerk Squad Fishing. I have a Facebook group for Jerk Squad Fishing. So if you want to find me personally, type in the Perch Jerker to any of those social media platforms. And then if you want to find a group, type in Jerk Squad Fishing to any of those social media platforms, and most of them should have it. But the main one's on Facebook.
There's nobody else running around out there that's calling themselves the Perch Jerker. I hope not.
I'm
It's just you.
I'm sure there's a couple, but they might have like 10 followers or something maybe. So I kind of own the market for the perch jerking as of now. Not to say that someone can't steal my name and pass me up, but I don't think that's going to be an issue in the future.
That is a brilliant name, by the way. Seriously.
Thank you.
Because there's kind of an obscene notion about what it's all about.
Yeah, I get
and there's nothing really obscene about it, but there is that kind of ha ha ha.
Exactly.
Which is great. And as a mnemonic device, no one's going to forget that.
Yep, exactly.
And so on top of all that stuff that the Perch Jerker is throwing into the giveaway, we have a $25 gift card to Big Fish Tackle. We have a $35 gift card to Opsin Fluorocarbon, and we're doing a Fishing Syndicate hat.
What a night!
Yeah,
how do we enter this, man?
Yeah, exactly. Whoever's going home is going to go home with about, I'd say, $80 to $100 worth of product in their hands. They can use it on their next fishing trip.
And they're throwing $1 something in to do this, right? It's $5 a month. You can become a Patreon Friedman Adventures member, and every single week we've got great stuff like this. Thanks to Brad tonight, we've got an extra special one. And by the way, Jason says, stop jerking around. I like that. That's funny. And how about beef jerky? Okay, this is getting funnier as we go along here. And I'm changing my name to the Marlin Jerker. Oh, my God.
That's pretty funny.
Jason, calm down.
It's funny.
He's up in Alaska, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I actually have a video on my channel of me going to the surf in Huntington Beach, pulling out a perch, taking it home, and making jerky out of said perch.
Oh, really?
And it was excellent.
Well, now before we
call it perch
how do you
jerky.
make jerky out of fish?
You take the fish, you clean it,
Yeah.
and you marinate it in like soy sauce and garlic powder, whatever you want to use that you would
Kind of
prefer.
like when you're making beef jerky.
Exactly.
Yeah, take a flank steak and do that.
Exactly. You marinate it, and then you dehydrate it, or you can stick it in the oven with the door open on a really low temperature if that's how you want to do it, if you don't have a dehydrator. But yeah, you just dehydrate it out, and it's like beef jerky, but with fish, and it's honestly good.
How is it? Really good?
If you like fish, it's phenomenal.
Is it fishy?
It's a hair bit fishy because it's fish, but you know, like if you like fish, it's wonderful. And you could honestly soak it in milk before you marinate it if you want to help get more of that fishy taste out of it. So
see what you started, Jason, and Jason's in Seattle. I screwed up. He was in Alaska some other time. It's hard to keep up with you. You're all over the place. Yeah, Steve.
All right, I think it's time.
All right, and so we'll do it. And we'll let. Why don't we let Brad?
Let
Brad do it.
So
Let's
Brad,
him do
just
it.
go ahead and hit that blue button, and then let us know who the wheel stops on.
I got that lucky spin, you guys. I'm telling you.
All right, here it goes.
All right, let's
The
roll.
wheel is spinning. Hold it up to the camera there.
Yes, we are
If
rolling.
you don't mind. Where is the camera? Oh, there it is.
Right here.
Yeah, I'm all screwed up.
Who is the winner?
The winner is
Andrew Deal. There we
Andrew
go.
Deal.
Andrew
He's
Deal.
the big winner tonight. What did he win again, Steve?
So he's taking home $25 worth of opsin, $25 big fish bait and tackle, $35 of opsin fluorocarbon, fishing syndicate hat, and all those goodies that the Perch Jerker brought over.
And all of you out there who are listening, you can become part of the Friedman Adventures tackle grab every week by going to the Friedman Adventures on Patreon and signing up. It's $5 a month. That's all it will cost you. Brad,
Phil,
this was fantastic, my friend.
it was awesome coming here.
I could tell from your video, Steve gave me homework and he said, you need to watch Perch Jerker videos. And I'm like,
Everyone needs to.
Surely there's something better I can do, until I watched them, and then I was hooked. And I'm still hooked. And now that I've got to meet you, I'm sure this will be a friendship that will continue for a long time to
100%.
come. I hope so. And in fact, Steve, I was thinking we should do a joint get together one of these times on one of the piers or something like that.
Let's collaborate.
Maybe we could do that and have a lot of fun. Get a bunch of Friedman Adventures guys out there and jerkers out there, and we'll have a really good time.
We'll jerk everything.
If you want to give your stuff a plug one more time, do it before we get out of here.
Yeah, all right. If you guys want to book a land-based shark fishing charter or pier-based or a fishing trip in general, go to lbsfguides.com and look through our options. You can pick the media package. I can come film a video for you, whatever you want. Shout out to Texas Fish and Reels, Josh Lee. He's got good line if you need it, all the braid you need for your reels. I'm also going to shout out Catch All Tackle. That's where we get a lot of our tackle from in bulk if you want to make a lot of shark leaders. Shout out Dylan from the Hog Squad. Shout out to Charkbait in Huntington Beach. And I'm thinking that's probably about it. I can't really think of much else that I'd like to shout out. Shout out to Sharking Crew. I've done a lot of fishing trips with Sharking Crew.
Those guys are great guys.
Yeah, they're great guys. I like Sharking Crew. And then, yeah, that's about it. Just subscribe to the Perch Jerker on YouTube. That's all I ask. That's it. That's all you guys got to do. And I handle the rest. I make the ad revenue, and I give it back to you guys. You know, what more could you want?
Brad Smith, the Perch Jerker, everybody. For Brad and for Steve and for myself, thank you so much for being here with Friedman Adventures again. Happy Halloween. Feliz Dia de los Muertos a todos nuestros amigos que hablan español. And we will see you here on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. So nice to have so many people watching from different parts of the country and in other countries like Arnie down there in Ensenada, Baja California. For everybody here tonight, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday night for another Friedman Adventures podcast. Take care, everybody.